And we're reminding you as well to stay tuned to KTN, especially at 7 p.m. tonight, because it's a brand new KTN for you. We're rebranding tonight, and it's an exciting setup we have for you. So definitely don't miss that. Be sure to be next to near a TV station, tuned to KTN tonight at 7 p.m. We have the best of news, of entertainment for you right here on KTN. Let's go to the press review and why Raila called off Kisii and Nakuru rallies is the headline in the Standard newspaper this Friday. Court moves today's meeting in Kisii to 4th of July of ongoing campaigns for Bonchari parliamentary seat, and Nakuru rally cancelled to allow Kenyans mourn those killed in Peketoni. The attacks there, but Raila insists Saturday meeting in Kakamega and Crunch Sabasaba rally set for July the 7th that he says is still on course. So the Coalition for Reforms and Democracy leader Odinga said they called off the rally set for today so as not to clash with the ongoing campaigns for the Bonchari parliamentary by-election. The rally will now take place on July the 4th, and another one scheduled in Nakuru for Sunday was cancelled to honor more than 60 people that were killed in attacks. And that story has details on page 4. You can read more there. The front page picture, CS Devolution and SG Kenya Red Cross yesterday, and Waiguru pledges aid from Peketoni as crisis unravels. A humanitarian and medical crisis is unfolding in Peketoni, where 37 decomposing bodies lie unclaimed at a temporary morgue, with displaced victims of Sunday's and Monday's attacks spending a second day in cold, without security, without water and food, as we saw in Ferdinand Omondi's report, despite reassurances by the police that their security would be increased. That has not been seen. They're still going through their nights alone with no security in the area. And the exodus from Mpeketoni towards Lamu and Mombasa, which began Wednesday, continued at a reduced pace yesterday as bus firms reported that mainly women and children were being ferried out of that region. On page 2, there's fury over bill on reproductive health. So proposed law seeks to provide children as young as 10 years old with birth control pills. Yeah, that is definitely bound to raise some concerns. And a proposal in a bill seeking to provide children as young as 10 with condoms and birth control pills has sparked outrage. That parental consent is not mandatory for children to access the contraceptives has intensified opposition to the bill, Reproductive Health Care Bill 2014, which is before the Senate. So the background of this is that the proposal to allow contraceptives in schools is not new. There have been other proposals in the past. The 2005 National Guidelines for the Provision of Youth-Friendly Services in Kenya, prepared by the Ministry of Health, has a package which, among other things, recommends contraceptives for adolescents. And what is new with the Senate proposal is that for the first time, the provision of contraceptives and information on abortion to adolescents will be ingrained in the law. And more details there, of course, for you. Also a story here, court stops new NSSF contributions. Remember, the CS Labour had indicated that those contributions and deductions would start being made next month, a move which had been opposed by the workers' unions as well as the employers' body. But now the NSSF has suffered that major setback after an industrial court in Nakuru issued orders suspending plans to roll out the increased contributions by workers. Waki set to hear suit by Jules Taylor in The Hague. Kenyan judge Philip Waki is to hear a suit filed by Jill Sierra Leone warlord Charles Taylor against Britain for allegedly denying him right to family life. On your feature story on page 3, that is on life and marital bliss, pharmacist who's 50 finds love in standard 1 dropout who is 21 years younger. There is hope for all. So the divorcee from Austria says she fell in love with Juma Hamisi when they first met at a beach 3 years ago. Yep, and there's a happy couple exchanging vows and rings as well. That beautiful kiss that sealed it all. Page 4 has more details of those rallies that were cancelled by court. But on page 6, you have the Kenya Defence Forces kills 5 Mpeketoni gunmen. And soldiers claim they caught up with them near the Kenya-Somalia border and recovered AK-47 rifles. Remember, KDF was part of the contingent of forces that were deployed following the attacks. And they said they have killed the 5 gunmen that left more than 60 people dead. And the soldiers said they shot dead the 5 in Bodai area in Garsen, Tana River, near the Kenya-Somalia border Wednesday night, and also recovered those rifles. Police will brief you later, but we caught up with 5 of them. Those are the words of a senior military officer who asked not to be named. And more details for you there, where also LSK has asked Tobiko to probe MPs over hate talk, and perhaps this a good move by the Law Society of Kenya. We have seen quite a number, even with the story we watched from John Allen earlier, with a lot of sentiments and pronouncements being made by these leaders, also seeing that hate go to social media, and it's become this vicious cycle which ultimately would not have a positive end. And perhaps at this particular time, important to be able to look into those that are crossing that line. And so the Law Society of Kenya wants the Director of Public Prosecutions, Keriako Tobiko, to probe 2 MPs of alleged hate speech. The Secretary LSK, Apollo Mboya, has written to Tobiko, and as well as the Inspector General of Police, to probe Starehe MP Minor Commander. And you did hear what he had to say on that clip. And also his Othaya counterpart, Mary Wamboi, as well. So these remarks, seemingly, and accusations and allegations of hate speech coming from, both political, both coalitions, that is CORD and Jubilee, as the heightened political temperature continues in the country. Ruto moves to end rift in his party. That's on page 7 for you. DP meets with key personalities from Rift Valley to diffuse claims he has neglected area and is inaccessible. We've seen him travel to that area a couple of times now. Of course, the likes of Keter and the Governor Ruto have served to as a wake-up call and criticized a lot of his role in as far as ensuring what they say is what they bargained for in getting into the coalition. And parts of those members in URP have argued they're getting a raw deal. Let's get to the Daily Nation now. Military shoots 5 in hunt for Lamu raiders. That story is the headline here, where President and Coast MPs met and agreed to carry out major peace campaigns in the entire coast region. Police find bodies of 2 men whose vans were carjacked and used in night attacks as CID6 leads. Suspect arrested of Al-Shabaab tweets released without charge. Okay, so that should be interesting. We'll look at the details on page 4 and 6. Remember the man who was said to be running the HSM press account that was claiming responsibility for the Mpeketoni attacks. Raila calls off those rallies as well. On the front page, why Kenya's rich see a rosy future. Page 34, a study reveals the wealthy are looking forward to good economic times in the next 5 years. Arrest MP for hate speech, says Tobiko. So investigations on page 2 there. Magistrate allows Mombasa CID boss to seize woman rep to face 2 charges over Jamhuri Day speech. And leader is said to have offered, or rather uttered, inciting remarks that could also cause the public to disobey the law. Who controls TV remote? 30 billion to watch World Cup. That's on page 3. As far as entertainment is concerned, right now, I guess there's an unspoken rule in most homes, especially for other family members who may not be so much into football and have the man in the house, a football fan. Then it goes without saying they will hog the remote or choose to go watch with their buddies in entertainment joints. So 91% of male viewers in Kenya will watch at least one game compared to 67% of women. Wow. So most Kenyans want host Brazil to win, according to a survey by Ipsos, but kick-off times have left them with few options. Some people believe football is a matter of life and death, and many are disappointed with some of those crazy hours of kick-off. But I don't think it is, a hindrance for most who are really the diehard fans. They will stay up or wake up early to catch the games. So much is popular with TV viewers. 30 billion, that's the cumulative number of viewers globally expected to watch the football, World Cup matches. 25 million, that's people in Africa who watched the Super Eagles play against Iran. Of this 1 million, of course, were us right here in Kenya. 70% proportion of football fans in Kenya who said they would watch matches at home due to the kick-off times, and more football news there. But terror attack coverage continues on page 4. Soldiers gunned down 5 suspects there. That lead story continues. Kimayo Defense Police Service on page 5. IG says a few elements to blame for the lapse and not the entire force. Of course, a lot of criticism in the spotlight has been on the security agencies over how they conducted themselves following the attacks. And now we are seeing the Inspector General coming to the defense of the service, saying it's just some that are the problem, not the entire service. The police force is not bad. It's only a few elements that are tarnishing the name. I don't know why he's quoted as calling it the force. I thought they changed to the service. Yeah, well, bodies intend to begin to decay. Unfortunate what's happening there, because the morgue only having a capacity of 6, having to then, after the attacks, deal with 60 bodies, and 15 bodies were still in a tent at Mpeketoni yesterday awaiting collection. Suspend new rates, that's what Kotu has urged NSSF, and as we've seen, there is rules on that. Back page, oil firm banned from fuel imports, and Kenya seeks help from Tanzania to boost supplies at the coast. There was that impending or likely shortage. The firm that delayed importation of aviation fuel, Kencor, has been banned from participating in the monthly open tender system. So the system is a central centralized fuel supply process for Kenya and Uganda, and the delay sent the two countries into panic. All right, the Star today, residents of Mpeketoni defied Uhuru, is the front page story, or the headline if you like, and the details here. Police were yesterday following a theory that animosity resulting from a broken pre-election agreement between two major communities could have contributed to the attacks in that area. So ahead of the March 4th 2013 elections, Uhuru, then Deputy Prime Minister, had urged TNA politicians in the larger Lamu County to concentrate on MCA positions. He advised that Kikuyus should leave the Governor, Senate and National Assembly positions in the, or rather to the indigenous residents of Lamu. Of course, you can find out more details there. Al-Bari wife in Kitengela says Njenga, you saw some of the residents there urging the government to not allow him to do the same and to give or direct for a different burial site. He, however, remains adamant that he will go ahead with the burial that is scheduled for, I guess, tomorrow, yeah, in Kitengela. So this is even after the Maasai and police separately deployed in large numbers in the property's vicinity and separately declared the burial will not happen. And more details of what's unfolding in Mpeketoni also covered there for you on page 4. High Court rules Koinange Kin have case to to answer. Also charged with 6 million shillings theft. Some of the stories there for you. On page 7, Mboko Kuria face ethnic slur cases, and the TNA strategist Moses Kuria and Mombasa woman rep Mishi Mboko, they will be charged in court for incitement. And the Director of Public Prosecutions ordered the prosecution of the two over separate incidents in which they allegedly incited the public to disobey the law. Finally, the People newspaper this Friday clamped down on hate speech as clerics step in. The Crunch, 3 MPs and a political activist face prosecution, and we've just read about some of that over remarks perceived as targeting certain communities as the government moves to stem the tide of incitement in the wake of heightened political rhetoric in the last fortnight. And the picture there of the president with members of mainstream churches, religious leaders forum when they called on him at State House, Nairobi. Also, Raymond Moi, Oburu Dalmas faced a sack for absenteeism. So those are some of the members of the National Assembly who risk losing their seats for absenteeism. Also on the list is Rongo Member of Parliament and former long-serving minister, as we mentioned there, Dalmas Otieno Njanga, and his wars faces wrath, tension as Maasai leaders oppose burial. We've talked about that, and the High Court holds new NSSF rates as well.